What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Seth Floyd Show coming at you. I'm your host, Seth Floyd Hansen, and I'm coming at you with a quick. We are 12 weeks in. Are we 12? Yeah, we are 12 weeks into the season. Okay, and I'm going to give you the 5 teams that I think can actually win the Super Bowl. I think there's only 5, and then there's one more that we will talk about as like an honorable mention. As like after this season, after this week, okay, I will be able to tell you if I believe they can win a Super Bowl or not. So let's get after it, okay? Number one, and I'm going to do this in order of likelihood. I'm not going off draft odds. I'm just going off eyeball tests, what I know about these teams. These are the 5 teams in order of likely to win the Super Bowl, in my humble opinion. And I want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm right, but I want to hear what your opinion is, okay? So comment, like this video, subscribe while you're here. Number 1, the Chiefs. Is that a surprise? They should be number 1 on everyone's list. They might not be number 1 in the power rankings. Okay, they lost the Bills. They went wire to wire with the Panthers. Okay, a lot of people, rightfully so, will have the Lions as their top team in the league right now. And that's great for a Week 13 power rankings. That's where they belong. But when we're talking about who could potentially win the Super Bowl, nobody has a better chance than the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes, they have Andy Reid calling the offense, and they have Steve Spagnuolo calling the defense. Okay, and I will be convinced that they're going to win the Super Bowl until they don't. It's going to be one of those you have to show me. Okay, so Chiefs number 1. They are who they are. Pat Mahomes just gets it done when it matters most. Number 2, the Lions. Okay. Now, I'm a little nervous about the Lions. They've had some injuries. And that worries me. That scares me a little bit. But they have consistently been playing complementary football. All 3 phases of the game. Multiple games of 40 and 50 points scored. Their run game is devastating. And I just think teams that play the best defense and run the ball the best always have the best chance to win. And I know that their defense isn't always going to hold up the best it can, but when push comes to shove, you just hand that freaking football off to David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And what do? That offensive line is fantastic. It is so good. Have Jared Goff throw it 15 times, have Montgomery take 15 carries, have Gibbs take another 12 to 15 carries, and what are we doing? There's not many teams that can stop you if you do it. It's weird when offensive coordinators kind of get in their head and they just want to get spicy and they want to throw the ball. And man, if you're picking up 5-6 yards a clip, just freaking do it, because teams don't want to stop that. Defenses don't want to play that way because it's exhausting, it's brutal, it's painful. No one wants to go through that. So just run the ball, Ben Johnson. You're very good at what you do. Sometimes you get a little pass happy. You could hand the ball. You could run the ball 30, 35 times a game and you'll lose 1 game all year. That's just kind of my opinion. Their biggest games, their biggest wins this year, Packers on the road, Vikings on the road, Texans on the road. I've seen what I need to see out of them. Their one loss was that Bucs game, kind of a weird game. They've had a couple. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions against the Texans and they won. So they've faced adversity. They're tough. They run the ball. They're the lock in the NFC, in my opinion. Okay, going to the Super Bowl. Be shocked if they're not in the Super Bowl. Lions. But then if they got to play the Chiefs, it's a toss-up because Mahomes' magic is what it is. Okay. Number 3, the Bills. Now, is this a little? I don't want to say Bills homer because I'm not a Bills fan, guys. I'm a 49er fan, through and through. I promise you, I'm a 49ers fan. I'm rooting for the 49ers this weekend. But I love Josh Allen, despite his flaws. He's not in the Mahomes tier because he doesn't do what Mahomes does when it matters most. But he's got all the talent in the world. And the Bills have been tough. They have played really well. And once again, he has beaten Mahomes in the regular season. He did it again. And I picked him to lose, and he did it. He did it. First time the Chiefs have had 30 points scored on them in 2 seasons or something. I think the Bills can be the Chiefs' kryptonite. They were close last year. In all these, one thing I hold on to also is the Bills, and when they play the Chiefs in these playoff games, it's close. It's always comes down to the wire in these great games. And I just think there's a chance that they could get over the hump and beat them in an AFC championship game or however it works out. I would pick the Chiefs in a matchup in the playoffs that hopefully happens because I want to watch it. But it wouldn't be shocking if the Bills won it. They've had a couple weird games. They've been blown out by the Ravens is shocking, like the way it happened. That game got away from them, and they just had no answer. But it was earlier in the season, and and if they had not beaten the Chiefs, they'd be much lower on my list. They might not even be on this list. But I saw what they did against the Chiefs, and if you can beat the Chiefs, you can win the Super Bowl. That's kind of how I feel. And they're the only team that's beaten them so far this year. So, Bills at 3. 4, I can't believe I'm writing this. Because I never would have said, this team was not a playoff team in my eyes before the season started, and I feel dumb now for saying that because Mike Tomlin is their head coach. And yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them at 4 as far as likelihood to win the Super Bowl. Why? Because of their defense. I think their defense is incredible. I think TJ Watt shows up when it matters most. Now, yes, they lost to the Browns on the road, short week, in a freaking snowstorm. And division game, of course I'm giving them a huge pass. All fans of other teams on this will be like, what, are you kidding me? They lost to the Browns. How could you put them on this list? Short week, on the road, division game, in a freaking blizzard. So, whatever. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to win that division, and I think they're going to be fine. Their defense is so stout, so good. I think Russ he's a question mark, but he when he's playing well, he's pushing the ball downfield, which is what the Steelers have not had in the last 2 seasons. Even with Justin Fields, I know Fields can do it every now and then, but on a consistent basis, I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, Pittsburgh fans, I'm not acting like I've seen every snap this season, but from what I've seen, it feels like the offense moves better. It feels like the ball gets downfield a little more on a more consistent basis, okay? And I feel like it makes them more dynamic, makes them more versatile on offense, and they're able to score just enough because their defense is so good. And anybody who has a defense like that, I think you have a chance because your defense is so good. And their run game's solid. Najee Harris and I think Jaylen Warren is the better running back right now, but I love Najee Harris. I think he's been good. They run tough. So they've got some good pieces. George Pickens, if he had a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, he would be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I do believe that. I think he's played with subpar quarterbacks, and that's held him back. So anyway, those are my thoughts. On Pittsburgh at number 4, but they had that huge win against the Ravens. So that's kind of my big one. But they've had some. They also have wins over the Ravens, Falcons, Broncos, Chargers. All 4 of those teams I think are going to be in the playoffs. But he has a good chance. Broncos, Chargers, maybe only one of those teams get in, but they're all playing pretty well, is what I'm saying. So I think they're good. I think they're legit. I don't think they're fraudulent. I think they're probably the 3rd best team in the AFC right now. Even with that loss, teams are going to play bad sometimes in the division. Speaking of division, okay, number 5, you can stop sweating bullets. Ravens fans, Baltimore, okay, I have you at number 5, okay? You've had a really weird up and down season for sure. Okay, you took the Chiefs to the brink after going down really big in week 1, came back. If it wasn't for a heel or whatever, I can't remember, or a toe, you guys would have tied that game or whatever, would have been close. And then the next week you lose to the Raiders. And then fast forward a number of weeks and you lose to the Browns, which is unfair because Pittsburgh just lost the Browns too, but you guys were at home. I think you were at home. Maybe I'm wrong. And that at least was a short week. I don't know. And then you lose this is the biggest game of the year, and you lose to Pittsburgh. Now you get to play them again, and that if you beat them the next time, then maybe I'll have my opinion flipped. But just from the eye test, Pittsburgh, more stout on defense, it feels like. And they got a better record right now. So that's where I'm at with it. But you did beat the Bills. You did beat the Bills big time. That game wasn't close. It was a very impressive win. And I think, listen, 3, 4, and 5, all of those are toss-ups to me. They're all toss-ups. I think the Chiefs get an S tier by themselves because they're the Chiefs and they've done it 3 times already. And then I would have a half a tier below. I'd have the Lions because they just feel like the best team in football on all phases. You get what I'm saying. Collectively, they just play the best football together. And then below that, I have these next 3 teams all in the same tier. It's basically a toss-up. Bills, Steelers, and Ravens. Okay, so it's not disrespectful. And we'll see how it plays out. The good news, Ravens fans, if you're mad at me, which you're mad at me over the summer, talking about Lamar in a negative way, you get to prove it. You get to prove it, Ravens fans, Lamar fans. Guess what? Lamar gets a chance to prove me wrong, which he's not done. He's done it in the regular season, but Lamar is this close to becoming the James Harden of the NFL. Lock, stock, and barrel, James Harden of the NFL. Okay? Just so you know, James Harden won multiple MVPs, never could do jack squat in the playoffs. And that's fine. James Harden is going down, made a ton of money, like a great, respected player around the league. It just never happened for him. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. All I have said is I want to see it from him because he hasn't done it yet. A win over the Titans a couple years ago and a win over the Texans last year doesn't move the needle for me, really. Sorry. Okay? Being the number 1 overall seed in 2019 and losing to Ryan Tannehill and the Titans, that moves the needle in the other way for me. He was at home, number 1 seed. Played Mahomes pretty tough last year. That game was close. Lamar didn't play great. So whatever. I'm not trying to beat it into you. I'm rooting for Lamar. If Lamar wins and gets to the Super Bowl, I won't ever talk about it again. And I will be happy. I promise you I'm not looking for reasons to hate on Lamar. I promise you I'm not. I'm just saying I have to see it. It's the same. I will never believe that the 49ers will beat the Chiefs ever with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid until they actually do it. Okay? So it's the same thing with Lamar. My last honorable mention, then I'll get you out of here. By the way, thank you for tuning in. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to the channel does so much for me, guys. Please, please. I thank you. I thank you. Share the channel with your friends. I'm just like a regular Joe. I'm a dad. I got 3 kids. I would love to make this my full-time gig sometime. And I can only do that if I get like enough people to subscribe and watch. So I appreciate you. Even if you're like not sure you'll tune in all the time, just hit subscribe and then forget about the channel. That still helps me. Just saying. My honorable mention, this fan base that is the worst fan base in all of the NFL, and 31 other fan bases will agree with me, I'm positive, okay? The Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Philly fans, I'm not apologizing for calling you terrible because you know you're terrible. You love that you're terrible. And it's probably not 100% of you, but I've seen enough. There's a lot of Philadelphia Eagle fans that are not good human beings. That's not everybody, but there's a lot of you. Regardless, your team right now is a surprise to me. You are 8-2. I thought Nick Sirianni, there was a chance he'd be fired by now. Through 4 weeks when you guys got smoked by the Bucs, and then the next week you only beat Deshaun Watson and the Browns by 4 points, I was like, this is going to go off the rails. It's going to be the same thing as last year, and they're just going to promote Kellen Moore or Vic Fangio. Now, you guys have turned it on, and you've won 7 in a row now. 7 in a row? 6 in a row. You guys are 8-2? 9-2? Can't remember. I can't believe I'm not sure. 9-2. You're 9-2. You've won 7 in a row. But you guys know, it has not been the stiffest competition. It's not. Of your 9 wins, 7 of them are against below 500 teams that are probably not making the playoffs. 7 of them. Okay? In that stretch, you've beaten, oh gosh, I should have written it down, but you've beaten like Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Cooper Rush, and the Cowboys. Okay? Now, your 2 wins against teams above 500, okay? Green Bay week 1. That's a good win. Week 1, like, not everyone's playing their best normally. But you get credit for that. Week 1, you win. In Brazil, kind of crazy. But then your other one is against a Washington team that I think could end up missing the playoffs, if I'm being completely honest. A Washington team who, yes, they're above 500, but golly, should have lost to the Bears. Okay? Won on a miracle play. And then they just lost after they lost to you guys, which was a close game for the most part. That game finished pretty close. They had 10 days off. They had 10 days rest. They come back home to play this beat-up Cowboys team that has Cooper Rush as the quarterback. And they lose. They lose. So what I'm saying is it's not fair to say you guys are bad because I don't think they're bad. I think they're unproven. I don't think there's that spot on the schedule that's like, oh, they're a legit team. Like the Bills beating the Chiefs in the fashion that they did. Okay? I don't have like the Lions beating both the Vikings and the Packers on the road. Like, boom. That's how I know they're really good. I don't see that on Phillies. If you want to hang your hat on week 1 Brazil game against Green Bay, who even Green Bay is like, man, they're 8-3 now. They just beat my 49ers, but like Green Bay, like they, in my eyes, they easily could be 6-5, like whatever. I'm just saying, I haven't seen it yet. But the good news for you Philly fans, if you are desperate to get into my rankings in this list, okay, 2 out of the next 3 weeks, you have some real tests. You play Baltimore this week on the road. Then you have some scrub game. I can't remember who it is. Carolina or something bad, someone bad. And then you play Pittsburgh at home. If you can beat one of those teams, I will put you at number 6. Okay? I don't think you will. I could be wrong, but I think you're going to lose 2 out of the next 3, and the rest of the NFL will see it as I do, and they'll be like, oh, the Lions are the only team in the NFC that has any chance. Okay? That has any chance. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I will if you guys call me out, if you guys beat Baltimore, or even if you beat Pittsburgh in 2 weeks, you call me out and say, hey, you said this, I will come on camera and I'll say, yes, I was wrong. They could win a Super Bowl. Okay? But I got to see it. So you're kind of you're in the honorable mention right now. Sorry, Vikings fans, my Vikings friends out there, I just don't see it anymore. I think you've come down to earth a little bit, which is crazy because you're 9-2. But man, you've had some close games. You've had some weird games. It has been too close for me, too close for comfort for me. I'll say this. Okay, I can't get the Jaguars game out of my head. I can't get that Rams game out of my head, even though it was a short week on the road. You lost to the Lions. I think part of it is I don't think you can beat the Lions. I don't think you can beat them. I don't feel like you're going to beat them. I think that the Jaguars game was real close. That Bears game went into overtime. I just feel like it's running out on you guys. You're for sure a playoff team, and you're going to win a playoff game, at least one. But I just think it's running out for you guys. I'm sorry. Packers fans, like I think you're worse than the Vikings. I think the Vikings are a better team than you. So if I don't think they're good, I don't think you're all that good either. But Seth Floyd, the Vikings only beat you by 6, and we beat you by 28. Yeah, because we had Brandon Allen as our quarterback, and Nick Bosa didn't play, and Trent Williams didn't play. What are we doing? Brock Purdy didn't play. I'm happy for you guys you won, but you want to tout that like, whatever, dumb. Anyway, those are my opinions. So I think I've already talked too much. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, tell me where I was right, tell me where I was wrong. I'm always right. Don't kid yourselves. I'm always right. You guys are the best. Let's enjoy Turkey Day. Enjoy some food. Enjoy some football. Enjoy family. That's what it's all about. I'm out.